chemistry is a very useful science which has many applications in different areas of our lives.
Of course, chemistry is everywhere. Here we'll show you some examples of how chemistry is involved in many places, such as our daily activities, our quality processes, and other science fields.
You'll get impressed when you notice how chemistry may be hidden anywhere.
You may be using chemistry even when you don't know it.
So just relax and keep watching this video with us. We hope you enjoy. Let's get started.
As we already said, we'll talk about chemistry in different fields of life. We've divided this video into sections in order to make less tedious for you to understand as well as for us to develop.
First of all, let's talk about medicine. What do you think, Gustavo? How do you think chemistry is related with medicine?
I really don't know what to think about medicine, but let's go with our friends. They have prepared an interview in order to answer this question, Evelyn.
Fine. Then let's go out there.
Hello, my name is Dr. Luisa, and I feel so glad for being here.
And we feel so glad for having you here. Can you please explain us how medicine is related with chemistry?
Yes, for example, when we're trying to develop new drugs to treat new diseases, we have to study how some substances react with the virus or bacteria that is causing those diseases. So that's the way how chemistry is related with medicine.
Can you please give us some examples?
Well, one good example is a blood test. Even though there are many kinds of blood tests, all of them should be included as an example of chemistry application because they all examine the substances of blood. So, for example, the L blood test. You have any idea what they are?
Not really.
Well, this blood test analyzes the composition of blood in order to assess your risk of getting a cardiovascular disease. Its meaning is lipid profile, and they are a good example of chemistry application. But actually, there are a lot of them, such as the invention of vaccines or antibiotics.
I didn't even know it. We are so glad for having you here, and we really enjoyed this interview. We learned many things about chemistry and medicine, and thank you very much. It was amazing.
Awesome, but now it is time to go to our next section.
This is actually a tasty section. It's sure you will enjoy it, because it is so interesting.
Well, let's go out with our friends Cari and Carlos, who will present us in this section.
It is amazing how chemistry can be in every place.
They look so great, don't they? Well, it's not because of magic, it's chemistry.
But that is not the only way chemistry is present in the food industry.
Important examples of how chemistry is involved with food are fertilizers, because they are chemical substances that are applied in plants and in the ground to make them more fertile, as we can see in the pictures.
Chemistry has involved with food also with the pesticides. Any substance destroys and prevents a plague.
Chemistry is also related in animal breeding, because they use chemical substances, such as medicines, to make animals feel better, and that way keep them healthy until it is time to kill them and obtain their meat.
These are some examples, but it is sure that there are many of them. The point is that it is very important when producing food. Let's go back with you guys.
The next section is not as nice as the others, but it may be even polemical. But it is to know that chemistry can be used even as a weapon.
Yes, it is polemical, but that doesn't mean that it's not interesting. Let's go there. Chemistry can be dangerous. Chemical warfare was introduced to a shocked war during the First World War.
3 substances were responsible for most chemical weapon injuries and deaths during the War I: phosgene, chlorine, and mustard gas.
That day in 1915, when those gases were used in the war and ignited a chemical arms race among the warring parties, the chemical power of those gases were the cause of a lot of deaths during this war.
And then in World War II, Nazis used poisonous gases to kill many people in the concentration camps. That was one of the saddest moments in our history.
So, chemistry demonstrates to be very useful in this field, acting such a very effective weapon. But it did not become such a worrying problem until the creation of the atomic bomb.
An atomic bomb is an explosive device that derives its destructive force from nuclear reactions.
Now it is time to talk about a very worrying problem that has everybody asking what will happen if we don't find a solution quickly.
Of course, we're talking about global warming. And how it's related with chemistry? Well, the greenhouse gases are produced after a process of chemical reactions.
For example, carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a product of combustion or fossil fuel burning. During the process of combustion, oxygen reacts with glucose to produce water and carbon dioxide. As the matter burns, energy in form of heat or light is released. The following chemical equation describes the process of this reaction.
Another example is the chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs. They are anthropogenic compounds, which means that they are created by humans.
So, there are many ways in which chemistry is involved with this field, but the best thing we can do in order to solve this problem is to quit using those products who injure the environment and start using those who help it.
And the most important thing we should do is to identify the sources of greenhouse gases in order to reduce their emissions. If we continue producing this amount of greenhouse gases, the air will become a much warmer place to live in.
This means the weather patterns will change. Summers will be hotter and winters will be shorter. So the best way to fight against this problem is by reducing the emissions of greenhouse gases. Am I right, Dr.
Yes, you are. To me, the best solution would be driving cars that produce less gasoline, because as we already know, cars are the main source of greenhouse gases. So, if we reduce the amount of gasoline produced by cars, then we'll also reduce the emissions of those gases.
Okay. Interesting. What do you think, Miss Luisa?
To me, the main source of greenhouse gases is the infrastructure, because our world is such as a big city full of buildings and enormous constructions. And for producing materials that the builders use, a big amount of greenhouse gases has been emanated to the environment. The solution I propose is to improve the cement making process and to use an alternative fuel. What do you think, Mr. Guerrero?
To me, the best way of fighting against this problem is changing light bulbs to electricity saver ones. You see, the generation of electricity is the single largest source of dioxide carbon emissions in the United States.
Chemistry can be useful in anywhere. That is why it's present in every field of our lives.
It is important to learn about chemistry because it can help us to make the difference solving problems like the global warming of the Earth or the melting of the ice caps.
Chemistry is so important. Sometimes it can be dangerous, but it complements our sciences to improve them. Maybe we can see it, but it is always there.
The importance of chemistry is that it explains the world around you. Just think about it. There are so little things that chemistry cannot explain.
Chemistry has contributed to humanity in a good and in a bad way. But the thing is not only to reflect about it, but to do something to solve the problems caused by chemistry.
In conclusion, chemistry has many uses in different environments. Without it, other fields couldn't be improved.